You're very welcome in here this afternoon, and congratulations on your position. So I have a number of questions with you, 7 in total. So the first one is, with local and European elections being held on the same day, can you outline how it is ensured that the individual votes only in the elections that they're entitled to vote in? So that's the first one. The second one, has the Electoral Commission had difficulty in publishing information around the upcoming referenda where the wording of said referenda is so vague? The third one is, on the topic of disinformation, can Mr O'Leary comment on Catherine Martin's post on X in which he stated that a woman's place is in the home? On the 26th of January, Justice Mary Breaker...
I'm absolutely sorry, Senator. I'm going to disallow all of that. We brought in the Electoral Commission to talk in relation to the European elections. We are not conducting a session with the Electoral Commission.
The Electoral Commission are essential in relation to what information is out there in the public domain.
Sorry, Senator.
How do we know what disinformation? How do we know what's going to be regulated if we're not allowed to ask those questions?
Sorry, Senator. There are forums which enable questions to be asked, but one of the things about this committee and about the way the committee system works is you bring in people under the guise of talking on a particular area. The Commission were invited in to talk to us in relation to European elections, and I am going to have to, I'm afraid, limit. Now, Can
I rephrase the question in a way that, so I need to basically know that, you know, what is their role in all of this? If there is misinformation being said by a particular party, what is their role in correcting that information?
In the context of elections, and European elections, yes, you can ask that.
Okay, so basically, how does the Electoral Commission endeavour to call out disinformation in all cases, but specifically in relation to disinformation being disseminated by, let's say, the government of the day? So how can individuals have confidence in the integrity of any election when the government ministers have been flagged for disinformation in relation to what the particular amendments might say, in particular this particular or this particular?
We're not going into amendments, and we're not going into.
Okay, so in future elections, would the claim, let's say, for instance, I'm only just using this as an example, that Fine Gael claim to be the party of home ownership. Can that be considered disinformation as the party is claiming claim is false?
Senator, you're making all types of ridiculous allegations, in my opinion. Which
I'm just looking to see what the remit.
Can I say to you directly as a member?
Yes.
That you asked to go first.
Yes, I did.
I facilitated that.
That is correct. Thank you very much for that.
And I think it is very disappointing that you then would use up your time. So
I need to find out what the role of the Electoral Commission is in future elections.
By asking, and we can clarify that. Sorry, Senator Chambers, do you want to make a point?
Obviously, we all want to ask questions about this particular witness, Mr O'Leary and his colleagues. I'm conscious that it has happened previously where a member at another committee was not permitted to ask a question that maybe people may or may not like or whatever. I think the member is entitled to ask questions, granted not of the referendum, say on the 8th of March, which is what the questions relate to, but more general questions around misinformation, disinformation. Right. I think to protect the committee, that we are seen to be facilitating questions, whether we like them or don't like them. I would not want that.
Censorship. It's completely
the role of the chair is also to protect the integrity of the committee, and specifically when people are invited into the committee for the purpose of answering questions in a particular area, you concentrate and focus on that area. We don't go out of respect for other committees into other areas that are outside our remit. And that is why general questions in relation to information and misinformation are perfect. But I would prefer they were phrased in asking the Commission.
Well, I'll try my best to phrase them in a way that is appropriate to you, Chair.
A political dimension.
Okay, so and how can we be assured that the Electoral Commission will not, in practice, establish a caste system where government ministers and their cronies in the mainstream media will be free to tell untruths or misinformation while minority viewpoints will be censored? So they're my questions to you, and I hope, Mr O'Leary, that you will ask them, because you play a very, very important role going forward for democracy in this country, and I don't underestimate that. So please, I want to make sure that you have democracy in the palm of your hands, and you're going to mind that democracy and guard it with your life.
Thank you. Mr. Leary.
Okay, thank you very much, Senator. There's a lot of ground to cover there. So your first question about different types of elections, different types of entitlements. There's not just local and European Parliament elections in June. We'll also have a referendum on the patent court as well. And for the people of Limerick, they will also be electing a directly elected mayor. So there are quite sophisticated electoral registers in each polling station, which will ensure that people will get the correct ballot papers when they're entitled to vote. So different people, obviously, anyone ordinarily resident in the country is entitled to vote in the local elections, but European citizens are only entitled to vote in the EU. We are confident, this has happened on a number of occasions in the past, we're confident that the systems there are okay, but it's something we'll keep an eye on. The misinformation, disinformation thing as issue, as I mentioned in my opening statement, there are extensive powers in the Electoral Reform Act 2022 in relation to mis and disinformation. These have not yet been commenced by the Minister. So the Electoral Commission currently has no regulatory, investigative or sanctioning powers in the area of mis and disinformation. What we do have is the obligation to inform citizens about the elections, and if I can split this in two, one is electoral process information. The example that I used was people in Germany being encouraged to write their names on the ballot paper. So many people wrote their names on a ballot paper hoping that they thought they'd be entered into a raffle and that they'd win a prize, you know. So electoral process information. So if somebody came out and said the referendums in March are on March the 9th, we'd simply correct that and say no, they're on March the 8th. You know, so electoral process information is slightly different because it tends to be a bit more black and white. We are very conscious of the right to freedom of expression in this country, and this is a constitutional right. But we're also conscious that we have an obligation that our citizens and the electorate have the right to be informed properly as well. This is a right that has to be balanced, and I suspect that the conversations going on between government and the EU in relation to the nature of the powers in parts 4 and 5 are the reason for the delay in commencing this, and that it is an attempt to strike that balance in line with the Digital Services Act as well. But I couldn't disagree with you in relation to the importance of this issue, you know, and as I mentioned in the opening statement, the way that misinformation, disinformation is leaked into the environment now is becoming increasingly sophisticated and it's increasingly complex. We have to be ready to be able to deal with that. So we are building an organisation right now from scratch, which is versatile, which is flexible, which is responsive and aware of developments in the area. And these are not features that many state bodies are often accused of, but that's the challenge for us, is to be able to do that.
And the Digital Services Act, that will not be implemented until, is it May this year?
Yes, well, the Digital Services Act
it's already signed by the government there last week.
Correct.
But with regard to the European Union, when is that? Is it May this year?
Commission Naman has already taken over responsibility for the wider mis and disinformation online responsibility from last week, and but our focus here entirely is on election campaigns. So during election periods, and that's what's envisaged by the Act. It is only electoral information.
Right, okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.